this since 2013 and probably done over 150 of these. And when Marion said you were going to be in town, I was thrilled because we're going to talk baseball. Probably me. So.
There are priorities.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, we all set? Yep. All right, Merrill, thank you. So tell me about Marion.
Oh,
I love her. She's just, and she was always a young lady that wanted to be somebody and go someplace. And she worked hard and she became an attorney, and I'm so proud of her.
She didn't start out being an attorney.
No. She started off working for the government, and she went to Cleveland, and she worked during the day, and she went to school at night, and she became an attorney. She worked hard.
She also went to Dickinson College for a while.
Oh yes, yeah. I used to take her back and forth from Philadelphia to Dickinson, and she was a good student there, and she graduated with honors, and I was there too. I was proud of her that day.
I went to Dickinson Law School.
Yeah.
I don't think our paths crossed. She's much
Were you
younger.
at Dickinson Law School?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, so I used to go to Philadelphia quite a bit. That was our getaway. So I don't think our paths crossed, and I don't, it's a good thing probably because Marion doesn't look like somebody to get into trouble.
No, she never
Try
got
not
into
I didn't think so.
No. We never had any problems with her.
And you're not going to talk about it even if you did, right?
No, I wouldn't.
I can see this conversation's going to come to
He'd be slapped with a lawsuit.
great. He needs a ride home.
Yeah, that's right.
I need a ride to the airport.
This isn't going anywhere. So what did your dad do for a living?
My mother had me when she was 15. And I never had a dad.
Okay.
She worked hard for me because, she had nobody to help her. Like I say, I was born when she was 15. And she worked hard and sent me to high school because in the town I was born, West Virginia, there wasn't any high school for blacks. So she had to work and send me to a high school and a junior college located in Harpersburg, West Virginia. And I never had the opportunity to go to college because when I left Philadelphia at 17, when I left West Virginia at 17, I came to Philadelphia. It was get a job. So I got a job at 17 years old, and I worked for 50-some years. Yeah.
When you were growing up, and you talked about the fact that in Charlestown there was no schools for blacks. What was the town like? Did you feel a sense of segregation at the time?
Oh yes, it was there. I recall times that I used to go to the restaurant at night, get a sandwich, my mother would send me down to get a sandwich and come back. And if I ordered mustard and relish on it and I got back home and it wasn't there was no taking it back. And then I have to go around to the back door of the restaurant to get the sandwich. I couldn't go through the front door.
Really?
Yeah.
Were there signs, or is that just understood?
It was understood. And there was a time where they had the white and black fountains in the bus stations, and
Well, even when you went to Philadelphia, that was pretty contentious, was it not, to be a bus driver in Philadelphia in the 1940s?
Yeah, well, when I got the job, it was 6 months after the strike.
After the strike?
Yeah, they had the strike in Philadelphia for when they were going to hire blacks, and I got the job 6 months afterwards. And the fire was still burning. I had a tough time. I used to go we'd have assignments, like you go to work 5 o'clock in the morning, they lock the door, keep you from getting in to make your assignment. And if you were late, you lose the day. It wasn't easy, but I survived.
I have relatives that were in that era in Overbrook, Philadelphia, and they tell me, Overbrook.
Yeah.
They tell me some horrible stories about that
Oh,
strike. It had to
It
be
was-
awful.
It was tough, yeah.
They brought in the National Guard, was it?
The National The president sent in the National Guards, and you'd be in the front operating the trolley, and the National Guard sits in the back with
Loaded gun.
guns pointed there.
For the camera, why don't you set that up since we're talking about that strike? What was it about?
The company hiring the first blacks.
Okay.
And it was.
What company was it?
At that time, it was what they call a PRT, Philadelphia Rapid Transit.
Okay, so it was a city.
Yeah,
City, okay.
yeah.
And
And the only way the blacks got hard was the union. The union of a man named Michael Quill from the Transport Workers Union in New York. He came in and he insisted that they all were blacks. Without the union, I don't know, of course they've been hard blacks now, but it would took a while. Yeah.
my relatives used to say that Philadelphia in that era was the first southern large city you'd run into going south.
Yeah. Huh?
That was the first large southern city you'd run into going south because of the way minorities were treated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go back just a little bit, back to Charlestown, and then why did your mother pick Harper's Ferry? What, did she know about that?
No, that was the closest school that she could send me to.
Right.
Harper's Ferry is about 8 miles from Charlestown, and I used to thumb rides to go back, And that was the closest school, high school and junior college combined that I could go to. Yeah. And she didn't have enough money to pay my tuition sometime, and the professors down there took a liking to me. They used to buy me clothes and help me along because they could see that I was trying to be a good student and they were trying to help me. Yeah.
And that was an integrated school?
No,
No?
it was white professors and the president of the school was white, but it was all blacks going to school. Yeah.
Harper's Ferry, of course, is known because of the John Brown raid.
Right.
How did they teach that there at Harper's Ferry? Do you remember having much knowledge about that whole John Brown's Harper Ferry?
No.
Was that-
No, what you learned, about John Brown, you learn on your own.
Right.
They didn't teach much. Yeah.
And as in junior college, did you come out with a degree at that point, or was it just a 1 year?
No, it was. I only finished high school, and when I finished high school, I didn't have enough money to pay the rest of my tuition, so I never got a diploma.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then, what was the draw to Philadelphia?
Well, my oldest aunt and uncle was here. And my stepfather used to give my mother a hard time. And I persuaded her to go to Philadelphia. And I stayed back in West Virginia with my grandmother. And then when she came to Philadelphia, she got established and she sent for me at 17.
Yeah. Did you have siblings, brothers, sisters?
I had a brother, I'm 17 years his senior. That's the only one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was like a father to him.
Yeah. So you're now in Philadelphia at age 17, living with your mother. What were the job opportunities there?
Well, the first job I got was in a woman's wearing apparel store in downtown Philadelphia on Chestnut Street. I got $15 a week. And I remember my first job, I didn't have any clothes much, and I had to borrow a pair of pants from my uncle, and he was much larger than me, and I had to pin them over on the sign. But I always wanted a job, and I worked at that job for, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, and then I got a job at Woolworths 5 and Dime, I guess and I was a dishwasher, and you were supposed to go out and sit at the counter and pay for your meal, you know. But I had a little plan. I used to wash the dishes, and as I would take the dishes in to the chef, I'd get a little food and take it back and take some more dishes in and get some more food, and by the time I was finished taking the dishes in, I had my meal there. But finally the chef took a liking to me, and he used to give me my meals every day, and $15 a week. And I never wanted to go upstairs to the office and get $1 off of my salary because I wanted the whole $15 at the end of the week. You know, they were tough days, but I survived. You know. Yeah.
So how long did you work there then?
I worked there quite a while. I worked there until I got the job on the PRT. And when I first went there to get the job, they asked me, they said the only thing they had open was working on the tracks. And I wasn't lazy, but I wanted something a little better than that because I don't want to work on the tracks in the wintertime. So he told me to come back in a couple of months. So I went back, and they finally gave me a job on the trolley car. Yeah.
So what was your job on the trolley car?
Conductor. At that time, they had a motorman and a conductor, and I was a conductor, you know. Yeah.
So, and they had just really started hiring blacks.
Yeah. I got a job 6 months after the strike. Yeah.
Were you following the strike? Were you aware of that?
Oh, yes.
What was going on?
Oh, yes. Yeah. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. Yeah.
What sense? Describe some of the harshness that it was going on. Was it physical? Was there shootings? Were there?
No, it was. There was some fisticuffs at some of the locations, but there wasn't any shooting or any murders. But it was tough.
Did they do stuff to the personal property, damage the tracks? Did they do any of that? Were they?
No.
Any of that damage?
No.
Did they boycott it? Is that what happened?
Yes, it was. The blacks, you know, they couldn't boycott it too much because they needed transportation to go to work, but there was a lot of resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was the trigger to have that strike end? How did it conclude?
The union. The union came in, and when the president sent in the National Guards, things kind of simmered down. Yeah.
What year was this again?
1944.
1944?
Yeah.
So that's, again, during the wartime. Let me ask a question. Do you remember where you were on December 7th, 1941? Pearl Harbor?
Yes, I was in a supermarket in Philadelphia with my mother. Yes. I remember. Yeah.
Was there a buzz in the supermarket? Do you remember any conversation?
Yes, yes. You could see people standing crying, you know.
Was there encouragement for folks? Because you would have been 20 years old at 1941.
Yeah.
to get involved with the service at all, and knowing that the service at the time was pretty segregated?
Yes. I don't remember people being too eager to get into it.
Yeah.
No. I wasn't too eager either.
Most people we've talked to were not.
No.
Was there, during that time period, just to kind of get a sense of it, did you remember seeing war bonds issuance? Were there
Yeah.
other movements to raise money?
Yeah. I remember war bonds. Yeah.
Did they advertise that at all on the trolleys? Do you remember seeing anything that would, today on every bus they've got advertising.
Yeah, but they advertise the war bonds on the trolleys and the buses. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're up in. Yeah.
So 1944, you are hired by the Philadelphia Transit, and that's really becomes generally part of your life.
Oh, yes. Yeah, 44 years of it. Yeah.
And during that time period, you rose in the ranks of the union, didn't you?
She's giving you a lot of information. Yes. I started as a steward. A steward is nothing but, in the union, but a glorified errand boy. But I gained a rapport with the drivers, and they liked me. So the president of the union figured, well, I can use him to help me to get votes because he's popular. So they made me a steward, and then I became the chairman of the location, and then they put me on the ticket as a vice president. I was the first black vice president. Then I became the first black secretary treasurer. Then I became the first black president of the local 12,000. And then the president of the international figured I needed a promotion, so he made me the president of the international vice president of the Transport Workers Union of America, located in New York. It was slowly rise. And the time I was running for president, I took a lot of abuse, and I'm afraid I wouldn't have continued had it not been for my wife.
Mm-hmm.
But she, when I told her that I thought I was going to give it up, she said, well, I thought I married a man. I know I married a coward, so that I was determined to show her that I was a man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I continued. But I'm glad that she did, because I rose in the ranks.
Sure.
Yeah. But without her, I would never made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She must have been a tough cookie. Could you describe her?
She was the greatest. She was a pharmacist, and the 3 kids, my son and 2 daughters. Had they not gone to school, she'd have murdered them. She insisted that they get a good education. And I'm so proud to tell people that my son is the chairman of oncology at Hackensack Hospital in New Jersey, and Enid Merrill attorney. And my wife was, like I say, was a pharmacist, and they say, well, what were you? I said, I was a hanger-on,
How did you meet?
It's a great story. I used to drive the bus, and she would get on my bus every day, and I just thought she was the most gorgeous creature I ever seen. But she'd get on, and I would say good morning, and that's all she would ever say, good morning, and keep going. And one Sunday night I was at a party, and I met this lady and her husband, and the lady looked just like Marion, Marion's mother that used to get on the bus. So the next day I told her, she got on the bus, I said, I met a lady last night that resembled you. She said, oh yes, I've heard that story before, and kept
Move along, fella. Take a number.
My heart sunk, you know. But every day she'd get on and she'd go in the back. And so one I didn't have an accident because I used to watch her in the mirror, you know. And then one day I saw she didn't go all the way in the back. She stopped in the center. So I thought, well, maybe I'm making progress, you know. So one day she got on and I said to her, "Lady, what is your name?" She said, "Well, what interests you? Why are you asking?" I said, "Well, now I'm stuck. I don't know what to say." So she went back. So then the next couple of weeks later, I said to her, I asked her again, and that day she told me. And I went home and I went through the white pages of the telephone book to get her number. And I got her number and I called her and she said, "What possessed you to call me?" You know, so I said, "I just wondered if I could take you to work tomorrow morning, you know." And she surprised me. She said, "What time will you be here?" And that was the beginning of a 52-year romance. 52 years. We dated 15 years, and we married 37 years in 29th of July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
The greatest. She was the greatest. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good thing you were persistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had 52 years with her. We traveled on a lot of places. You know, we went to Aruba 3 times, California 12 times, Rio de Janeiro, Paris and London. We went all over. I got fond memories. That's at night, you know, when I'm sitting by myself, the memories take me through.
Yeah.
She was the best.
She was a pharmacist?
Yeah.
Where
At
did
the
she?
University of Penn Hospital.
Yeah, I was gonna say, University of Pennsylvania?
Yeah. Yeah. And by her working there, the kids could go to University of Penn.
Yeah.
So the 2 of them went to University of Penn, but we had one that insisted she go her way, so she went to Dickinson.
Yeah.
I didn't get into Penn, okay? Full disclosure.
She lost her way. Yeah, I know it.
We're learning a little about that too, the independent mind. Yeah. Did you guys retire together?
My wife and I retired in 1988, the same day. And a couple of weeks later, we made a settlement. We sold our house. At 10 o'clock in the morning, we made the settlement. And we went back to the house to pick up our bags. And we sit on the steps and cry because we were so attached to the house.